Hi everyone, how are we doing? Rodian Builds here, and today I'm going to be reviewing the BRICKY PRO. Now this has been requested hot off the back of my previous video where me and my wife were having a little challenge. If you haven't seen that video, there is a link in the description, so go check that out. Anyway, in that video my wife was using this and I was just using a regular trowel and the techniques that I picked up over the last 18 years. And I have had a few people ask me to review this myself. So that's exactly what we're going to do today. So let's get going. All I'm going to do is I'll build a little corner, 4 along and just 2 this way, and put a couple of stop ends on. So nothing too special. I will be using some older bricks, so please excuse me if they are a little bit rough around the edges. We'll do what we can to make them look pretty. So like I say, just 4 along and 2 on the return, and probably just go 3/4 up just to get an idea of how this tool works. Now first off, I can see a problem. Because we have used this in the previous video, you have these little things attached on the bottom. These little things here, they help hold it to the brick. Now, because we're going on the first course, that's going to be miles too high, so I have to remove these. They aren't quick release, they have been screwed in. So bear with me 1 second while I take these off. Right, now that we've got those taken off, they're put over there, so please don't let me forget them. It's a bit windy today, well this afternoon, so it's probably going to get blown away. Anyway, line up that corner with the corner that we have just drawn on the floor. Now I will go over to my magical box of tricks wherever. Oh, where did I put that magical box? It's right next to me. Now there are additional segments which you can attach to this. This comes apart, it opens out, and you can put this in to make different sizes. So it's not only for 4-inch, you can also have 9-inch and 140mm segments. So there are multiple different ways you can use it. All I want out of this is my trowel. Now it says Marshall on it. I thought it was a Marshalltown trowel and I was very happy, but it just says Marshall on it. Anyway, what you do is you slap the muck in the opening. Now what I'm going to do is I'm only going to use the tools that have been given to me in this kit, apart from a tape measure, because we're going to need a tape measure. So I guess what you do is you use the template to smooth off and lift up. Now straight away I can see that the muck sticks to the plastic, even though I did clean it after the last time I used it. Obviously I didn't clean it enough, so I should have measured 4 before I started doing this, but let's just keep going. Lift that up. I'll tell you what I will do, I will run the trowel down there. It's probably not what you're supposed to do, but I'll tell you what, it came off a lot easier. And then we will go over this backside here, and I will do exactly the same. Just line that up with the line that we drew on the floor. I'll just plonk a load in. I should really, like I said, measure this out beforehand, but I'm trying to do this at a bit of speed, so this video is not 150 years long, like I already said. I mean, so far I find this relatively easy, very simple to use. There's nothing too difficult about it. There's a little bit excess there, I'll just smooth that out. Again, I'll do that with the trowel so that it doesn't stick. Lift it off, and there you go. Right, now what we're supposed to be doing is, again, please do, I apologise for the rough bricks. Now the video tells you to put it on the top and just press, which is exactly what I've done. I'm going to measure it. Is it 75mm? It is exactly 75mm. Is it level? Not quite. I don't know if, I shouldn't be using that. Okay, we'll be using a little level as well. I won't use a big level. Okay, and then from here, this is the bit that I'm not looking forward to. We have this tool, which you are supposed to put over the brick and splat on some muck. Now, I find you're going to do this and it's going to move this brick over here, unless you do it relatively lightly, which is what I've done. Okay. Put that brick up to it and then press, I really should use a level core. I apologise if this wind is being picked up on over the mic. Let's just keep going along this line. Let's see what happens. I won't level it over because I don't think you're supposed to. You're supposed to put a line on, but I'm going to put the first few on. And then 1, 2, 3, one more. Yeah, I'll just put the first 4 on because you're supposed to put a line. There is a tool that you get with this that helps you, that's almost like corner blocks, but I've got something I want to say about them, and you will see why in a moment. But let's just pop these on. I shouldn't, like I say, I shouldn't be leveling these. Or should I? I don't really know. It's 75mm. So from here, I'm going to level it because in my mind, you should really level them. That's saying bang on level. Well, I'll tell you what, this is pretty good so far. Should I range it? I better range it. Now, that's not bad at all. Okay, and now we will go on the return. We'll go along 2. Once I've done this bottom course, I will probably change the camera angle so you can see what I'm doing a bit better. There's one, and we'll put one more. I was going to go and butter the brick up then. Naughty boy, you got to use the tools allowed. Now straight away I'm finding that this tool used to butter the bricks up is dragging half the muck off with it. However, it seems to be holding so far. Maybe it's because obviously I do this for a living, but I don't know. But so far this is, I'm quite impressed with it really, to be honest with you. I will level that over, like so, that'll do. Right, so there's the bottom. So far, thoughts on the tool. That was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. That's quite good actually, using that. Again, this is fiddly, but none of the muck fell off. I did find that back there, and on this one, if you slap the muck in, you're going to push the brick back, so you need to be careful about that. I would suggest for the first 2, just pushing it on and then dragging up. But what I'll do is I'll bring you further down so you can see a little bit closer what's going on. I have now reattached those little clips that I was saying about, so we can pop this over this brickwork. One thing I would like to say is this is evidently not going to work for bricks that are wider than 102.5mm. Like for example, I have these imitation stocks which are metric, which, what size are these actually? Let's have a look. These are 110mm, so that wouldn't fit. So this is only going to work on more modern imperial, more modern metric bricks. So again, you put that muck in that, I'll call it a trough. And I reckon the reason why you have one of these gauging trowels with a straight edge as opposed to a normal bricklaying trowel with the curved edge is for the whole reason, as I've just noticed there, you can scrape that across easily without it like bowing in the middle. So that makes sense. So got that one there. Again, I'm just going to trim along here just so I can get this out without it pulling all that muck out. That comes out quite nicely. Then we'll go all the way up to that end, plonk that on. I'll tell you what, I'm quite enjoying using this tool. This is quite good actually. I can't see me giving up my trowel for this, but for a little go, I'm actually I think this isn't that bad of a tool actually. It's quite good fun. There are a couple of things that I have questions about, and I will talk to you about those when we get to it. Like things that I would probably call issues or problems. I tell you what, I'm quite impressed with this. And I reckon those clips on the bottom will probably help you keep your wall straight. Because if it's off, then that won't clip on. Those are my thoughts anyway. It makes sense to me, because if it's wonky, those clips just won't marry up properly. If you did watch that video of me and my wife, then you will know that my wife has had absolutely zero experience in laying bricks before in her life. And she said that this part of it was very good, but she just couldn't get to grips with that tool for buttering the bricks up. And she said she found it easier to just butter the brick up straight away, as you would do as a bricklayer without the tool. But I can see why she's saying that. It makes sense to me, because you have to sort of slap the brick, slap it on like that. But anyway, what I will do is I'll just put the brick here, try and butter the brick up beforehand, as in I'll put it here like so. I'll try and, hopefully you can see that, and then we'll just slap that on like so. Pull that off, and then we'll put that on that corner. Right, let's check her for level. Sorry, that's a little bit off that side. There we go. And now we'll check the plums. That's a little bit out, so we want to go. That one's a bit off. There we go. That's there. Right. Now from here, let's move you around a bit for this one. We'll put that in there. The thing that I have an issue with straight away now is you're just putting that brick up against the mortar that's going to be in this perp. There's no like suction, there's nothing, you're just putting it there. Like, you've put that brick there, I've pushed it down a fraction, that's the point. Let's check it for gauge while we're here. That's 5mm high. Okay, interesting. 5mm high. I'm not going to tap that down because that is not what I'm told to do, but I'm going to tap it down actually, because that is probably going to answer one of the questions that I had. Now, because this muck hasn't been furrowed, I can't get that down much more without a bit of hard work on pushing that. There's an issue there. It's not like that's 1500 now. 1502. 1502. I'm having a bit of trouble there. Because that bed is so full up, there's no furrow in the middle, you can't really push that down. That's yeah, a bit of a design flaw there, if you ask me. Right, where's my old Gary? Let's get the old Gary on there and level this one over. There's no rubber bit on the bottom of this trowel, so it makes a bit of a wallop. Right, so we'll put that on that last brick. That should go over there. Yeah, I have some issues with this. You'll have to excuse me, I just had to waddle off to get my hammer. Right, let me measure this quickly. What is that? Yep, 100mm. Right, so now we have that brick and we'll put that on the end there. I will use the level on that. And we're good. As a bricklayer who does this professionally, not with this tool, I'm finding this tool a little bit fiddly. So I guess I haven't used it before. If someone else who hasn't used it before is giving it a go, then maybe you too would find it fiddly. So I can't put that on the end because you have got some little clips on here. Let me bring you around the other side. I'm unable to put the template over here. It's on the wonk slightly because there's this little clip here, this little bit here, which is in the way. It's not flush. If that wasn't there, I would be able to put that on there, no worries. But now it's just a little bit proud. That you have to be very gentle not to move that brick Cool, that's a bit fiddly. I mean, it works, well, sort of. That's the problem. This happens, it just falls off. I don't think it sticks very well. I probably cheated by doing that with my trowel. But we're going to put that on anyway. Tap it down and then we'll level it over. At least with the metal on the bottom of this trowel, it makes you not tap your level, that's for sure. Okay, and then we will plumb that up. See, that's a bit over. Perfectamundo. That one has moved over. Right, now the next thing I want to try is, this may seem daft, but I'm going to put a brick and a half in here. So as you can see down here, I'm going to put a brick coming up to here. Sorry, no, half a brick here and then a brick coming up to here. And I'm going to put a string line up just to lay one brick. Now the reason is there's a bit of kit that shows, it's almost like corner blocks, but it's not corner blocks. So I want to see how it works. So I'm just going to flip you back around over here and I'll put these two in. And then I'll set these lines up, talk you through it, and then we'll put this one brick in. Oh, by the way, if you are interested, I'm giving away this kit. Obviously, I'm going to clean it up before I give it away. I'm giving it away. There's a post over on my Instagram. I'll put an image of it on screen now. If you go over to that post on Instagram, follow me on Instagram, like that post, tag 2 friends, and in the date on the bottom of the screen, because I can't remember what it is, I'll be giving this kit away. If you'd like to enter, that is how you enter. So I'll put this brick in, then I'll plumb this up so that I don't tap it and whack it all over the place again. I'm going to have to hold that, put that brick in like so, just put it down. Where's old Gary? Those of you who don't know what I'm on about, Gary Neville, level, rhyming slang for level. I've got Gary here and his little brother Phil. I don't know which is the older and younger brother of the two Nevilles because frankly I don't know. I don't watch football. People have told me before in the past, but I can't remember. Anyway, so that's that. Let me double check that again. Yeah, that had been pushed over by about 3 mil, I'd probably say. And it had been moved over that side as well. So that is now plumb. Now, let me find this little tool. Okay, so these are the clips. Now the line runs through here, over the back and around here, and you wrap it around these 2 hooks here, and it goes on that corner there. And then we have another one that goes on the corner down here. So I'll set these up quickly and show you what they look like. Again, I have never used these before in my life, so I'm just as intrigued as you are. You can't use these as the same as you would do normal corner blocks, purely because with these you have the little clip on the top. Now unless you have your muck that's below, unless that's still wet, you can't clip these in, whereas a normal corner block, these go over the side. Oh crikey, these go over the side like so. You put the lines through them. I do have videos about these, how to make these and also how to set up corner blocks. So if you are new to bricklaying and you would like to know, then there's a link in the description to the Bricklaying for Beginners playlist, and everything will be found there. Right, let me just set these back up again and I'll get back to you. So those of you who are new to bricklaying, whenever you build a long flank, like imagine that this gap in the middle is like 2 meters, not one brick, it's 2 meters wide. What you would do is you would build a corner up this side first. So say we'd have, this is obviously a different type of brick, but you'd build it like that, so you'd have it stepped down on the side. I do have a video about corners in the Bricklaying for Beginners playlist, so again in the description if you'd like to have a look. So imagine that we have a corner that's like 6 or 7 of these high. The only way that these are going to work is if A, you have a recess joint, which means the muck steps in about 5-10 mil, or if the muck below is wet. This little section here we'll be able to wedge in there. So if everything below it is dry, these aren't going to work, but everything below it is wet or recessed, these will work. And I'm intrigued about these because they're I can imagine these getting knocked off quite easily, because just then I just tapped it. Granted, I did pull the line, I did tap it and it came off very easily. Because you have to pull them quite tight, I did not pull these tight because this is green. Green means still wet, and this is not as tight as I would have it if I was laying bricks to that line. But anyway, very interesting nonetheless. So let's put this brick in the middle, see how this works when you've got a line in the way. I'm guessing I'm going to have to use that to butter up both sides of the brick and slide it in. That's going to be very cumbersome. But first off, let's try and use that and have the line on at the same time, because you're going to have to pull it out, and I'm wondering if these are going to come off. But anyway, I'll set you up and let's see how that goes. Okay, so I'm going to put the pins at the bottom of the wall just so there's no chance of me stepping on them and pulling that line off. Now, first of all, what we're going to do is let's just see if we can somehow put this template in here without knocking that line off. I'm guessing putting it round this way is a no-go, so let's try it with the line still in there. But straight away, I'm going to see that that line is right in the blooming way. So let's try and go down from the top. These, I guess, are problems that you're going to have when using this tool. Problems that you have to overcome, because I didn't like buttering it up on the floor. I'd rather have done it this way. Now, when it comes to bricklaying, I say real bricklaying, well yeah, real bricklaying, I butter the brick up before I put it in. I'm not a bricklayer who butters the brick up while it's down like this. So I don't like doing this, but in this case, it's the way, it looks like it's the way you have to do it. It is actually a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. I genuinely thought doing this would be more difficult. But in all honesty, coming from someone who's learnt how to lay bricks, I remember back in the day when I didn't know how to lay bricks, I remember it was awkward to get used to. This is probably just as awkward. If anything, it's probably more awkward. And also, you got muck on your lines. You don't want to get muck on your lines because there's a chance that if you put them in your bag or wherever you're going to keep them and don't clean it off, that could probably burn through that. When I say burn through, I don't mean like on fire burn through. When you use cement is it can give you sort of like chemical burns. Now this is another problem. How am I supposed to put that in there? Well, I suppose it does fit. And then you tap that down to the line. I'll tell you what, that was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. And those perps, these are called perps by the way, those perps are quite full. In fact, they are actually full. Minimal amount of muck coming out. In all honesty, that went a lot better than I thought it would. Yeah, very interesting. Okay, what I'll do is I'll put the final course on. I'll just sort of time lapse it, and then I'll come back to you with my thoughts and have a look at the wall. We've got to point it up as well, so that's exactly what I'll do. I'll put one more course on here, just sort of time lapsing so you can have a look see, and then we'll point it up and we'll have a little discussion about that. Now that we have that top course done, and again, I found that very easy to do. It was quite intuitive. This is the tool we use for pointing. It's got 4 different sizes. If you can see, each one of those is a different size. And then going for a large one and a slightly smaller one. So this is one of the issues I have with this, is because this is plastic, I cannot see this lasting very long. But let's see how it works. So you pick the size, and all you do is you just run backwards and forwards the correct size between the bricks, and there you go. It does only give you a recessed joint. You can't decide to have a different joint, like for example a half round tool joint. You can only have recess with this. So if you did want any other particular joint, you'd have to buy a jointer and you'd have to use that and do it differently. But I mean, for what it is, it's pretty good. Very easy to use. I'll tell you what, it's quite, it's quite good actually. I have noticed that some of these joints, well, saying that, I was about to say some of these joints need pointing in afterwards, but because it's a recess joint, I reckon that's why they do this, because if there are any little gaps, the recess joint will fill them up, because as you go along, it will push any excess into the crevice. And then we'll do these perps, the perpendicular joints. It's quite handy having 4 different size tools in one. If this was metal, I would be a lot more impressed, but because it's plastic, I can't see it lasting 5 minutes. The guy who invented this, if you do that in metal, and that, I'd probably buy it just for the tool. If I can find that in metal, I'll have that, because I use what's called tuck pointers for doing this, and they can sometimes be fiddly. But this, like I don't want to keep saying it, but if this was metal, I'd sing this all day long. I'd say that's great. I'll tell you what, I shouldn't really say that. I should get on a patent pending and and make that myself if someone hasn't already. But for a tool, for a jointer, it's okay. Like I said, it will probably last you one job. Well, no, it'll probably last you a bit longer than that, but depends what you are doing with it. If you are building a garden wall, depending on how big, you'll probably get a couple of garden walls out of it. I can't really tell, can't really give an honest review on the longevity of the jointer, because this is like the first time I've actually used it. But because it's plastic, like I'm saying, I can't imagine that it's going to last anywhere near as long as a metal one would. Like it's quite thick plastic. It's about 10mm thick. But for what it is, it's pretty good. Does the job. Comes up quite nicely actually. Right, I'll finish it up and get back to you. And there we go. There's the finished article. Quite nice on that recess joint. I've just brushed it off. That top course is a little bit wet, so it could have another go over, but on the whole, it's pretty. I actually think it's pretty good. I do like that tool, the jointing tool, but that is the finish of it. Comes up quite nicely, really. I only quickly gave it a once over. I could spend a little bit more time on it once it's dried off a little bit better to give it a nicer finish, but on the whole, I think that's a nice finish there. So there you go, that's the pointing. Those are my thoughts on the pointing tool, and the fact that you can only have recess joint, which is, as you see here, that ever so slight recess pointing. I guess it's exactly what it says on the tin, really, recess pointing. There we go. Right, okay. Nice little wall, that. Okay, now for my final thoughts on the BRICKY PRO. I have my phone here, so I've got a few notes so I don't forget what I'm trying to tell you. First off, a bit of a positive, I'd say. It was quite fun to use. I did enjoy building this wall yesterday. Oh, by the way, it's the next day. Yeah, I did enjoy building this wall yesterday. Move on. I would say for beginners, it is quite clean. Using this, it's quite clean in the fact that the template, you have the template, and when you put it over the bricks, you're not going to have muck falling down on the facework, spoiling your facework. You've got the sort of like a bit of a cover to sort of keep you away from that muck damaging and staining your brickwork. So that is a positive as well. I would say, I'm looking down at my phone, sorry. I would say it is slower and more fiddly than actually laying bricks, because you have to move this around, you have to put the clips on the bottom, you have to set it up, you've got to wobble it around, you have to score the edges when you're putting the muck on, moving it along. So I would say, and especially this, as I did say, buttering those bricks up and having the bricks move around, it's in my opinion, it's a hell of a lot more fiddly than actually just laying bricks. Okay, so now, as I said earlier, it is the next day. Now, the reason I wanted to come back and do the outro the next day is for one very good reason. I have let this wall go off, and I did have a few, basically the main thing that I thought would be a hindrance to this tool would be the strength of the wall. Now I do a lot of, this is not sand and cement mortar, it is lime mortar, so it doesn't go off quite as hard as cement, but I've built a lot of walls on this channel out of lime mortar, and I know how strong it feels when you have to take it apart. So the fundamentally main point that I think this is going to lack against real bricklaying is the strength of the wall. So I'm going to try and lift these bricks off. Now that it's had 24 hours to go off, I'm going to try and lift these bricks off and see how easily they come up. If they come up easily, then I'd say this isn't worth a rub. But let's just see. I literally just picked that up. I'm literally just picking these up. That one was a little bit stiffer, but when I was building it yesterday, I was thinking to myself, you're literally just putting the brick on top of the mortar. You're not, because when you lay bricks, you put the brick down, you put the muck down and you furrow it, like you tap it, so it's got like a little valley. And then when you put the brick in, you push it down, like you push down and then tap it down, and the muck spills out the sides and you scrape it off. That is there so that you get the same effect to the bottom, like a full joint, but when you've got a full joint straight away and you literally are just putting the brick on top, yeah, you have to tap it down 4 mil, because this unit here is 14 mil thick and the joint is supposed to be 10 mil, so you have that 4 mil to press down. But because there's no suction, there's nothing that pulls it down, you've got the full bed already, I don't feel like there's anything that can hold that brick down. I just don't think it's there, especially now, because normally when I have to take apart a wall, I have to use the trowel, get it under the side and wedge it up. Now let's just try this brick here. Oh my, that was even easier. So that is the worrying part. Yeah, it's easy to use. Yeah, it's fun to use. You can put that template down, you can get that muck on there. But fundamentally, if the whole point, basically the whole point of brickwork is to have something that stands the test of time, like houses. If you built a house where you could lift the brick off, people who build their houses are going to say, no, that ain't going to be worth it. So in my opinion, now I can't speculate about a taller wall, like a higher wall, because bricks work in compressive strength. Like the more that pushes down on it, the stronger it gets. I can't say because I haven't built any tall walls, but generally, who's going to be buying this? Someone who wants to build a brick planter in their back garden, or maybe a garden wall. If you're going to build a garage or an extension, then you are essentially going to know more about bricklaying and how to do it. So you're not going to use this. So what is it for? Brick planters, things in the back garden, like little steps, garden walls, something like that. And because it's a low wall, generally they're lower walls, they're going to fall apart so much more easily. So that is basically the fundamental. If this was stuck down as much as it would have been for a wall I would build normally, I could recommend it. But because of that, I would probably say the only thing that I could recommend this tool for would be for this. Now, this is not for me saying that this is good. The reason I'm saying this would be good would be if you got your mortar, and I would not suggest scraping it over like you are supposed to use it. The only reason I would suggest this is to put muck in there and to practice furrowing so that you don't get mortar coming down over your brickwork. So essentially as a guide, that's the only thing I could recommend it for. I would not recommend it for scraping it over and having that flat bed. I don't think that's good because you don't get the strength. The only thing, like I said, I don't want to say it too many times, but the only thing I could recommend that for would be a guideline so that you don't get mortar falling all down your brickwork. But this retails for about 40 or 50 quid. Now for 40 or 50 quid, just to have that, I think I could not recommend that, because this is just this is a waste. Doing that, you're moving the bricks around, you might as well, the amount of time it takes you to learn to use this, you might as well learn to lay bricks really. It's probably a lot more fun, it's a lot more free, you don't have to worry about tripping over this. And moving on to the pointing tool, I really did like the pointing tool, but, oh cool, it is windy. I did like the pointing tool, but only if it was metal. If that was metal, I would probably buy one of these, but the rest of it I wouldn't bother with. So that I can't see standing the test of time. Those corner blocks, I did say that I don't think they're very good because you can only use it when you're wet or on recess joints, so I can't recommend those either. So on the whole, for 40 or 50 quid, I can't remember exactly how much it is, for 40 or 50 pound, I would say you are better off spending 40 or 50 pound on some cheaper, on some bricklaying tools. if you're the sort of person who would want to buy this, then my guess is you don't know how to lay bricks. Buying professional grade tools is probably not a good idea if you don't know what you're doing, or if you don't know if you enjoy it. So that's why I'd say probably buy 40 or 50 pounds worth of bricklaying tools rather than this, and then have a go. Because you might buy this and you're going to build something, it's just going to get knocked over by your kids anyway. So I would say, in the description I'll leave a link to the Bricky if you want to go and have a look at it, and if you are interested in having a go, then there will be a link down there. But I'm also going to leave a few links down there for about 40 or 50 pounds worth of bricklaying tools. Not this, bricklaying tools like a trowel, a level, a few bits and pieces, to about 50 pounds, the same price as this. So if you do want to have a go at bricklaying, then there'll be some tools down there, and I'll also leave the link to my Bricklaying for Beginners playlist down below, so you can go, and there's so much information there. I'm not trying to plug my channel over this, because I'm trying to give you an honest opinion of what I think of this, but also if you do want to learn how to lay bricks, then I do have a bunch of videos that will teach you all the fundamentals and basics about laying bricks. With this doesn't negate the need to essentially know the fundamentals of bricklaying. You still know what bond to have to do, you still have to know where to put the bricks, you still have to know where to level, you still have to know where to plumb, you still have to know how to use lines, you still essentially have to know the basics of bricklaying, but without the trowel hand. Now, I would say if you need to know the basics of bricklaying, you might as well learn how to lay bricks. Sorry if the image went a little bit dark then, the sun went behind a cloud and I had to change the exposure. Anyway, so yeah, as I was saying, you still have to know basically how to level, how to plumb, how to use lines. You still need to know the fundamentals of bricklaying. The only thing that you're not doing is learning how to furrow your muck and lay the bricks. So in my opinion, that's almost counterintuitive, because if you're going to learn how to plumb, how to level, etc., you might as well learn how to have that wrist action in your trowel and essentially lay bricks. Because what happens if this breaks? Say you're in your back garden, you're building a planter, you leave it sort of just leaning like that, and you're stood up here and you're getting something out, and maybe your dog runs past you and you lean over it and you snap that in half. That snaps in half. It's only plastic, so that snaps in half. What you can do with the rest of your planter, now that you can't do that, you're going to probably try anyway. So why don't you just 40 quid's worth of tools, have a go. If you like it, then you could probably spend a bit more on the tools, because bricklaying tools are probably about 35, 40 pound for a trowel, levels about the same, so it can be a little bit more expensive. But try the cheap tools. Like I say, I'll leave some links in the description of ones that I think are probably the best for the bang for buck, for about 40 or 50 quid, and see what you think. So on the whole, I would probably say this is a bit of a gimmick, purely if, like I said, the one thing that would have changed me to say it was probably worth it would have been the strength. But because I can literally I know I've already picked those bricks up, I can pick those bricks up with ease. Now I know this is only lime mortar and there are some differences, but I've done a lot of builds and all out of lime mortar, and they are nowhere near that easy to pick up. So that is the main issue I have with this, is the strength of the wall, which is the whole reason you're going to build a wall, for it to be strong. And like I said, you're going to be essentially, if you're using this, you're going to be building garden walls and things like that, so they're going to get knocked over anyway. So those are my thoughts on the Bricky Pro. As I said earlier, there is a contest to give this away. I probably can't recommend you go out and buy this, so if you do want to have a go with this and don't want to buy one, then over on my Instagram, Rodian_builds, I spoke to you about how to enter earlier. There's a playlist down below of Bricklaying for Beginners, so go and check that out if you are interested in learning how to lay bricks. I'll also, like I said, leave the links down below for the Bricky Pro, and also for about 40 or 50 pounds worth of basic hand tools if you do want to give bricklaying a go. So hopefully this has been informative. Hopefully you have enjoyed this video. If you have, please do leave a like down below. Subscribe if you aren't already. Ring that notification bell to be notified every time I upload a video. We have Off the Trail merch. There is a link in the description and also a little shelf below all of my videos. So if you do want to have a look at some merch, then just go down there and click on that. And with that being said, we'll leave it there for today. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. So take care. See you later. Ta-ra.